Gibraltar's playing host to the World Pool Masters. A field of 16 has just been reduced to 7, one semi-finalist named. Predicting just who will win this title is a difficult business. The opening quarter-final proved that point. Ralph Souquet is the Masters' most successful player, 6 titles to his name and chasing a 7th here in Gibraltar. He looked on course to make the semi-finals, leading England's Carl Boyes 7-2 in a race to 8. But then a remarkable turnaround saw Boyes battle his way through 6 unanswered racks to stage a magnificent comeback. Confirmation of that result and the remaining matches. Alex Pagaline, the 2008 champion, in action against Jason Shaw. Van Boning and Appleton have both claimed this title. And coming up now, the clash between Niels Feijen and Dennis Orcollo. Again, previous winners, but now fighting for the right to take on Boyes in the semi-finals. The format is simple throughout this tournament. Each match a race to 8 racks with the winner breaking. There's a 30-second shot clock in operation, but a single extension can be taken per rack. Time then for our second quarter-final, Feijen against Orcollo. In the opening rack, Orcollo broke but came up dry, the cue ball tantalisingly close to the pocket. Feijen stepped in and should have won the rack, but a mistake on the 8 proved costly. In the second, a solid break from Orcollo set him on his way. A break and run out, doubling his lead. In the third, Orcollo lost position, going from the 4 ball to the 6. Feijen seized his opportunity and pulled the rack back. Feijen at last got the chance to break in the 4th, but stumbled on the 3 ball. Orcollo back to the table and back with a 2-rack advantage. 3-1 to the man from the Philippines. This is now the 5th rack. Commentary from Alex Lely and Phil Yates.
Desperate times for Niels Feijen. His miss on the 8 in rack 1 cost him double. It will not this time, because he gets to the table.
Very similar to the first rack, this, where the cue ball came so close to scratching, but just about stayed on the precipice of the pocket. Here it's top right. In the first rack it was bottom left, as we're looking at the table.
Push out called by Niels Feijen. That tells us that the corner of the corner pocket, the knuckle, is blocking his path to the 1 ball. So in a push out you play the cue ball to any position. You could even opt to pocket the ball or to hit another ball, giving your opponent choice when he comes in. So now Dennis Orcollo with the choice to accept and play on, or give back and let Niels in the box.
Please reset the clock. Start the clock, please.
I like playing a 2-rail kick shot here. With a 1/4 ball hit, 1/2 ball hit, 3/4 ball hit, that cue ball will stay near the 6 or go towards the 5, 4, 9. He has a good chance to put Orcollo in a tight spot. Little too full. It's well makeable, the 1. If he plays plain ball, let the cue ball drift downwards in between the 2 and 6. If he were to decide to play it with check side, that would increase the difficulty level of the shot by some margin. Well, there's good and bad with the result of that shot. He ended up close to the rail, but at least that kiss on the 5 has manufactured a 5-9 combination off of the 4 in a later stage if he sinks this 2-ball. This is his, for me, from Dennis Orcollo, this was his weakest stroke in the tournament thus far. He came up from the shot, didn't stay down nicely.
I think you're absolutely right, Alex. There were a couple of instances in the early stages against Melling where he snatched a little bit, the shoulder went into the shot, but they just about went in. That one wide of the mark.
And I'm sure Niels has seen it too. Always observe your opponent, trying to look for signs of weakness. And not all misses are alike. So he needs to make this 3, just make it. Center table will be good to carry him off of the 4, that fine 5-9 combination. A little bit tricky because he will double kiss with the 4. Must make sure to hit it as thin as possible. That's a very suspenseful route for the cue ball, but he made it.
Yes, it was going towards a pocket. For a split second he was concerned. Now though, the 9 ball is in. And he's only 1 behind again. This is the carom. Off the 4 into the 5, which then propels the 9 into the pocket. But look at the cue ball.
Yeah, the way he positioned himself off the 3 for that carom off of the 4 ball, he knew he would let loose the cue ball. But it's also very much a fact of not worrying too much about what your opponent can do to you or misfortune, but to stay in a positive frame of mind. No ball in, 1 ball ending up close to the corner pocket, but the 3 and 6, I believe, are blocking the passage to that 1 ball.
Push out called.
Decides quickly, Dennis Orcollo. And I say give it back. Because the double kiss looms large, so he will need to hit it thin. And a thin contact on the 1 makes it difficult to avoid the 3 and 6. I think it's a no-no. Niels doesn't like it particularly, but he's looking longer. So he thinks he can avoid the double kiss and the 3 ball.
Reset the clock, please. Start the clock, please.
Nice shot. Nice shot. That always stings with a G when you give back the push out because you think it's not possible, and then your opponent comes to the table and just manufactures that exact shot that you were considering.
This isn't based on any statistical information or evidence, but it always seems to me when the Filipinos push out, they've got a plan in mind and they've got the ability, if you put them back in, to put you in trouble. I've seen it so often.
So Niels playing a jump shot. He's one of the best in the business with the jump cue. And he has, you know, he can win something here. He could play to pot, but he could also hit the one on the right or on the left to keep the cue ball there, hide behind the 3 and 6.
Our shot, ball in hand.
He hit the 7, and that's rare.
Start the clock, please.
Rare to see Feijen failing to clear that ball, the blocking ball.
Yes, and he actually caught that on the way up rather than on the way down. So what an opportunity now for Orcollo to go 2 ahead for the 3rd time.
It was in the beep. I think he was rushed.
Extension call.
And one could think in the beep, yes, but Feijen should be experienced enough to deal with that. True, but he has been out of the competitive scene for 6 months. The pressure, the intensity, the shot clock. These are all things champions, you know, are experienced in. And it gets getting used to.
Yes, and it doesn't matter how lengthy your career has been or indeed how successful. When you've had an enforced break, as Niels has had, there is always competitive rust.
A lot of angle on the 3. Now, if he plays this... No, he doesn't even need check side to go towards center table. Go past the 7 on the other side. Can also come back with the cue ball. The play's so quick. Doesn't waste any time making his mind up.
He's put together a remarkable CV as Orcollo. And it's what he's won as well in terms of the different disciplines. He's won big events in straight pool, 1 pocket, 9-ball banks pool, 10-ball, 8-ball, 9-ball, you name it, he's won it.
Yeah, one of the better all-round players in the business. The other one, presumably, Alex Pagulayan.
For the 3rd time, the gap between these 2 players is a couple of racks. It was 2-0, it was 3-1, and now it's 4-2 to Dennis Orcollo.
Welcome back to the World Pool Masters. This is the 2nd quarter-final, Orcollo against Feijen. Orcollo dominated the early exchanges, but Feijen is fighting back. He's just taken the 7th rack. He now trails 3-4 in this race to 8. Feijen to break in the 8th.
We're going to see a power break, big warm-up strokes, and then the acceleration coming off that back leg. Now, is there room past the 3-ball to get to that 2-ball? Does he have an open shot? Still difficult to tell.
Push out called.
So that's the 4th rack in a row where a push out is played. Was a fine break. Orcollo will play this. This a one pocket player, and he's a, he's a top absolute elite one pocket player. They can dream this cross corner bank. So crossing the 2-ball, banking it over. Doesn't need to make it, but just let it nestle on the 9-ball and get the cue ball back up table towards the 4. The only thing is the angle on that 2-ball. Is it enough angle to let that cue ball travel?
You start the clock, please. Start the clock, please.
So what I think Niels is looking at is to play the cue ball here, there, let it travel all the way there, and the 2-ball should be banked here. Now, excuse me for my drawing lines. I hope to have made myself clear. So he has played it well. Could have been better, the result.
After those lines, Alex, was it schnapps for breakfast?
Come on, Phil. You have a go next time, yeah?
No, you stay there. You're
okay.
Fine.
I'll practice in the mid-session interval.
Extension called.
Extension called. Beautiful. Mr. Straight back. That's how you call a bank shot like that, over the length of the table. Lethal. Difficult to defend against that.
It's a national pool-playing trait, isn't it, with the Filipinos? They've got this uncanny knack of being able to make something from nothing. You never know when you've got them in trouble.
Yeah, when they shake your hand and congratulate you.
And that's why, Alex, 19 years ago, when you won this fine tournament by beating the greatest Filipino of the lot, Efren Reyes, in the final, that must have been phenomenally satisfying.
Aye, of course. And a good payday. Yeah, and I beat Bustamante in the first round. At that time, in that period, I beat both Bustamante and Efren a couple of times. Don't know why, but I did. I'll cherish that. But Orcollo, is really lethal here. Niels played a good safety. When the push-out was given back by Orcollo, it all looked good, but then the straight back, the bank on the 2-ball, past that 8-ball to open up the way to re-establish a 2-rack lead.
Yes, it's a recurring theme. He goes 2 in front, Feijen pulls one back, and then Orcollo finds something else. What a good shot this was, Alex.
Creamed it in. Down the pipe. And then that 3-ball off of the rail. Almost made it look like a formality.
Niels Feijen, he's a very fit individual, apart from the tennis elbow injury that's sidelined him of late. Quite a decent DJ, I've heard, as well.
Yeah. He even released, I think, 1 or 2 tracks.
Okay, rack 9. Dennis Orcollo to break. Leading 5 racks to 3.
Now let's see if Dennis is going to copy Niels' break speed, or that he's going to stick with what he's been doing. Very small feathers. Yeah, so same recipe now for Dennis Orcollo. Full speed, hitting the one on the nose, but there was unwanted topspin on the cue ball, making it track and accelerate forward. Can bank the one ball back to where he is now and leave the cue ball there. Good speed, perfect speed. And that's not too shabby a kiss on the 5 ball, because it has opened up the 4 and 5.
As Ted would say, a wall of balls.
Yeah, the one ball is surrounded by balls, makes it very difficult to get there off of the short rail. Difficult to play for something. I don't see a foreseeable out. Can't hurt to ride your luck in 9 ball. Hit it at warp speed. Because the way the balls are positioned, the one goes out of that zone. He tried to finesse a resave. But this is good. So that was a good result for Niels, even though he could be snookered behind the 3. This position is a better one than he had in his previous inning. And now if he hits with speed, he can make the one ball come back into the woods to where all other balls are. That's a pity. Straight in on the 1.
As we said though, Alex, if there is a vulnerability in Orcollo's game, it is potting from distance. That said, he knocked in a couple of tremendous 1 balls against Melling yesterday, but this will test his cue action. And his nerve.
Extension code.
Yeah, the difficulty is not only the pot, but also, you know, what to do next, how to play it. Few pockets available for the 3, fewer even for the 4 thereafter. So Niels back in. Sweet. His position on the 1. Come out 2 rails. Above the line of aim on the 3. Needs that ball to travel. And that's perfect. A perfect angle on the 3 to position the cue ball on the lower left side of the pink 4 to the side pocket or corner. Overrun the mark. Maybe only by an inch or 2. But being so close to the 5, that inch or 2 is quite a bit. Makes it just that bit harder. Okay, he's back in line. Stun into the long rail, travel towards the 7. The 5-4 score line now hangs in the air.
Very pronounced right-eyed sighter is Niels Feijen. That's the master eye. You see this in Q Sports. And it works for him. And it certainly worked in this rack. Dennis Orcollo cannot shake off the Dutchman. Orcollo's lead reduced to 5-4. So 16 players started out in this Mansion Bet Whirlpool Masters of 2018. Now only 7 remain. Carl Boyes already through to the semi-finals with that comeback win over Ralph Souquet last night. The winner of this one, Orcollo or Feijen, will play Boyes next.
Beautiful close-up, an intense look. He's in business. This cuts, this banks. And the 7 is sitting up nicely as a sideboard to catch that 3 ball for a pot to the side pocket. Seconds. Well, this, I said that it cuts. It's a very acute angle. He can bank it. Cross corner. Swish. Now the 3 into the 7. He will make it. But he needs to read the impact on the 4 ball well. Because he needs position on that 4. Would like to avoid a double kiss on the 4. Make the 4 ball come out off of the rail.
Tension called.
Good shot.
He's been within a frame on several occasions, yet to draw level. This is the opportunity.
Playing with a high ball. Now, how tight is the passage past the 9 for the 7 ball? With the angle on the 6, could still choose to get to the left side of the 7. He's playing a little quicker than in the first half of this match. Has left himself something to do here. He will not roll this ball. He will play low on the cue ball. Oh, with side spin. Oh, just rolling with side spin. This is a very nice break and run for Niels Feijen to level the score.
Niels Feijen fighting so hard. Dennis Orcollo led 2-0, 3-1, 4-2 and 5-3. Now, though, that advantage has been erased. It's 5-5. Both require 3 more racks to get to the semi-finals. When champions collide, you can expect tight, hard-fought pool, and that's exactly what we're seeing here. Niels Feijen looking to do something he hasn't done in the match so far, i.e. move in front. Breaking off in rack 11. Let's see how this one goes.
Oh, something that he has flirted with many times in this tournament. Because 5-6 times in this tournament, also in his match against Handal, that cue ball went towards that side pocket. But now, for the first time, it has flown in. Adrenaline. It's also difficult. He had that break and run, and then had to sit and wait for the commercial break to finish.
Feijen went back to his chair, just scanning what he'd left. 3 and 5 close together, but not anymore.
Yeah, beautiful shot. He needed a half ball hit to make that cue ball travel towards a desirable position on the 2-ball. Now this is his last difficult shot on the table. Needs to get to the 3-ball, avoiding that traffic. Now there's a nice path in between the 7 and 8, or 6 and 7. But he would be heading towards that side pocket. Playing it like this, he was avoiding the side pocket, knowing he'd have a longer shot on the 3. But he should be fine.
And just when Feijen had climbed the hill to get back and tie the scores, the scratch sees the pendulum swing again.
Taking a little more time. That's a trick. Play within your rhythm. And when there's little doubt, just make a reset. Reassert yourself. Get down on the shot with 100% commitment and conviction.
Orcollo avoids falling adrift in the match for the first time. In fact, he now goes ahead again at 6-5. It was all about the scratch, plain and simple. After that, he made the run out look simple. What a career Dennis Orcollo has had since he started playing the game as a very young boy on his grandfather's table. His hometown is Quezon in the Philippines. That's the base where he's from. The nickname, I suppose, Robocop, comes from the fact that he's almost animated when he's at the table, like mechanical. Never seems to make any kind of mistake. We have seen him make a few today, but generally speaking in this tournament he's been pretty watertight. He won the World 8-Ball Championship in 2011, and he's one of the hardest nuts to crack in World Pool.
So he capitalized on that breaking error of Niels Feijen. Ran the table, now it's up 6-5 with the break. He hasn't been as successful as the Dutchman has been. So there's hope for Niels. But then again, he could spend the rest of the match being confined to his chair, Niels. Orcollo just needs to make a ball, have a clear sight on the lowest numbered ball thereafter. It's a big break, but again, topspin on the cue ball. I don't see Orcollo attacking this one ball. So Niels can get ready to try and fight himself back in the game once again.
Push out called.
It's been a match full of push-outs.
So this is not only about the one ball, the initiative for the one ball, but more so what to do after with that two. Does it cut to the side pocket? Is there a safety to be played off of it? Or attack the one ball, go into the two. That would be a big shot. Nice and level cue action here.
Well, he didn't threaten the pocket, did he?
No, difficult shot. You know, very positive shot selection there by Niels Feijen. But in hindsight, we could say that maybe the safety or even giving back the position would have been the better selection there. All the balls in the open.
Cold.
This is the key shot of the rack. Play this well, get in line and then stay in line. Oh, Dennis Orcollo. Dennis Orcollo, as good as he looked yesterday against Chris Melling. He's looking on the weak side today.
Yeah, sums it up, doesn't it? Aghast. Also, the level of surprise with the outcome of that shot was shown in how quickly Orcollo's opponent jumped out of his chair.
Yeah.
He couldn't believe it.
Yeah. I think Orcollo was most lethal some 3-4 years ago on the global scene with all the international tournaments, and you know, rarely missing shots, open shots. So to see that from your opponent, that's a confidence booster.
And not very nice for Chris Melling to watch if he's viewing this game, because of course against Melling in round one, Orcollo missed precious little. Why didn't he do that against me, I think is the sentiment.
Yeah, that's also the kind of luck that you need to win tournaments, that in a phase where you're playing below your ability or a subpar performance, that in that phase of 10, 20, 30 minutes, you don't get punished maximally. Because everyone will go through a weaker phase, just like Niels went through a weaker phase in the first half of this match. Carl Boy is 7-2 down, recovers, wins 8-7. Appleton against Strickland.
Well, that's nice to know. We know the airport's open again. And although he's not exactly flying, Niels Feijen could be about to take off, because having been in grave danger of falling 7-5 behind, again, he's achieved parity. This time it's 6-6, and what started out as a best-of-15 rack match is now distilled to the best-of-3, and in that kind of environment, anything can happen.
Welcome back to the second quarter-final in the World Pool Masters. Niels Feijen has fought his way back into this match, and after 12 racks, he's level with Dennis Orcollo. This is now the 13th Feijen to break.
Players always have a preferred side. And look how nicely they're sitting up the balls. Very nicely controlled. The one ball missing the side pocket, traveling towards that corner. He can punish Orcollo with 2 points.
Yes, and his choice to change sides has been well and truly vindicated. What a difference.
Land in between the 2 and 8. Perfect. Perfect. Thanks to Bert Kinnister. Bert Kinnister, a trainer from the States who has produced many videos. The 9-pointed star, the ladder, all drills that Niels has done so much in the beginning of his career. And the shot he just played from the 1 to the 2 is typical for Bert Kinnister's work. It was a perfect shot by Niels. Now, depending on the angle on the 3, he'll choose between the side pocket or the corner. The work is done. Still 6 balls to play, but the work is done. The problems are solved. Now it's all about staying in line, keeping control of the cue ball, keeping control over your nerves. He has overrun the mark. Forced to go to the other side of the 6.
He's stuck with Orcollo all day. On several occasions, the Filipino has looked as though he's going to pull away, but he's never achieved it. Yeah, and now in 3 balls' time, it looks as though he's going to be the one playing catch-up.
Yeah, regarding the mental game, Niels has been the stronger of the 2. And he looks like going to the hill first. Going to the hill and breaking.
It was that pocket that cost Orcollo dear in the previous rack when he missed the 1 ball. Nobody could have foreseen. Big consequences. Because Niels Feijen, for the first time in the match, is in the ascendancy. He leads by 7 racks to 6, and as Alex so rightly said just a moment ago, he's now breaking off in rack number 14.
He had this injury, so he comes into the World Pool Masters not knowing what to expect. He's 1 game away of qualifying for the semi-finals, so this free roll mindset is slowly transforming into sending the finish line.
Yes, and if he gets there, he will take on Carl Boys in the last 4, which means, of course, we have at least 1 European finalist. Still work to do, though, because this has been a match of many, many twists and turns. And you get the impression there might be 1 more twist in the tail.
Rack 14, Niels Feijen to break. Leading 7
All
racks
depends
to
on
6.
this break. If he can copy the result of the previous one, make a ball and see an open shot on the 1, could be clear sailing. 1 ball down. The 2 balls open. 7, 4, not there to spoil the party. Good break. But he cannot avoid contact with the 4 ball.
When we opened the show, Ted Lerner described, I thought accurately, Dennis Orcollo as a pool-playing monster. Here's the monster about to be vanquished.
Good shot. This was all that he could do. I don't see him force his way for position to the 4. So he thinks he can get there. Would require a ton of check side.
Extension called.
Which doesn't bite the rail as much as on a club table. Here on the TV table. So actually you need more check side here than on a club table. A lot of deflection to account for. Has done so with ease. His face as if it were carved out of stone. Delicate.
During those dark days which all sportsmen encounter when he's saddled by an injury, as we know Niels Feijen was, the thought of this kind of moment would have galvanised him, kept him going. Let's get back into it. And now he's here. And he's relishing the moment.
Yeah, wonderful performance. He hung tough. Was in the ropes a couple of times. 4 more shots to knock down Robocop Orcollo. Three-quarters of the match he was resilient, tenacious. And now he's looking smooth. No hesitance whatsoever.
And this is the kind of result, should it be achieved, that would give Feijen immense satisfaction, and with every justification. It was all about the 1 ball in rack number 12 for me. Orcollo was 6-5 up. He missed it down the rail. Since then, well, Feijen was flawless. He wins by 8 racks to 6. A tremendous fight back. The Dutchman dynamic when it mattered most, and he's through to the last 4.
Another tight match that bears testimony to the quality of the field in this year's Masters. Niels Feijen, the 2013 champion, is through to the last 4 and will play Carl Boys in the semi-finals. Coming up next time, the clash between Shane Van Boening and Darren Appleton as they chase their own Whirlpool Masters dream.